The morning sun filtered through the tall windows of Clarence's house as King Charles III sat quietly in his study, the weight of recent events pressing heavily on his shoulders. The grandfather clock in the corner ticked steadily, marking each second that brought him closer to a moment he had been dreading yet knew was inevitable. On his mahogany desk lay a folder containing medical reports that would change not only his life, but the entire trajectory of the British monarchy. Dr. Sarah Mitchell had delivered the news 3 weeks earlier in the sterile confines of the London clinic. The words malignant and aggressive treatment required had echoed in the king's mind ever since that gray February afternoon. At 75 years of age, Charles had always maintained his health with the discipline of a man who understood his constitutional duty. Daily walks, organic gardening, and a carefully managed diet had been his companions for decades. Yet here he was, facing an enemy that respected neither crown nor constitution. The diagnosis had come as a shock during what should have been a routine procedure. Charles had been experiencing persistent fatigue and some discomfort that palace physicians initially attributed to the demanding schedule of a new monarch. The transition from Prince of Wales to King had been seamless in public, but privately, the weight of responsibility had taken its toll. When routine blood tests revealed irregularities, further investigation became necessary. Queen Camilla had been his constant companion through the medical appointments, her steady presence a source of comfort during the most uncertain period of his life. She sat beside him when Dr. Mitchell explained the treatment options, her hand finding his as the oncologist outlined chemotherapy schedules and radiation protocols. The woman who had stood by him through decades of public scrutiny now faced the prospect of supporting him through his greatest personal battle. The palace machine had swung into action immediately after the diagnosis. Private secretaries huddled in emergency meetings, constitutional experts were consulted, and a careful plan was crafted to manage both the king's treatment and the continuity of royal duties. Prince William was briefed on the possibility of increased responsibilities, while other senior royals were quietly informed that their schedules might need adjustment. Charles found himself reflecting on his mother's approach to personal challenges during her 70-year reign. Queen Elizabeth II had faced numerous crises with stoic dignity, rarely allowing personal struggles to overshadow her public duties. Yet the situation was different. Medical treatment would require extended periods away from public engagements, and the nature of cancer meant uncertainty that could not be managed with traditional royal protocols. The king's thoughts turned to his sons, William and Harry. The relationship with Harry remained strained following his departure from royal duties and subsequent public revelations about family dynamics. Yet facing his own mortality, Charles felt a profound desire for reconciliation. He had instructed his private secretary to reach out to Harry's representatives, hoping that family bonds might prove stronger than public disagreements during this challenging time. Medical privacy had always been a cornerstone of royal protocol, but Charles understood that his diagnosis could not remain secret indefinitely. The nature of his treatment would require canceling engagements, and public speculation about his health could prove more damaging than controlled disclosure. His communications team worked carefully to craft a strategy that would inform the public while maintaining appropriate boundaries around sensitive medical information. The decision to speak publicly about his cancer diagnosis represented a significant departure from royal tradition. Previous generations had often shrouded health issues in vague statements about being under the weather or requiring brief medical attention. Charles, however, had spent decades advocating for mental health awareness and believed that transparency about his physical health challenges could serve a greater purpose. His private secretary, Sir Clive Alderton, had presented him with various options for making the announcement. A simple written statement would suffice from a protocol standpoint, but Charles felt that the gravity of the situation warranted a more personal approach. Television appearances had become increasingly important for modern monarchs, and he believed that speaking directly to his people would demonstrate both vulnerability and strength. The king spent considerable time crafting his message, writing and rewriting passages that would convey hope without minimizing the seriousness of his condition. He wanted to acknowledge the fear that cancer brings while emphasizing his commitment to his duties and his confidence in his medical team. The balance between personal revelation and public reassurance required careful consideration of every word. Camilla proved instrumental in helping him find the right tone for his message. Her own experiences supporting friends and family through cancer battles provided valuable perspective on what patients and their loved ones needed to hear. She encouraged him to speak from the heart about his determination to fight the disease while maintaining the dignity expected of his position. The production team assembled for the televised message included some of Britain's most experienced broadcast professionals. They understood that this would be one of the most significant royal addresses in recent memory, requiring both technical excellence and sensitivity to the emotional weight of the content. The setting needed to convey authority and warmth simultaneously, reflecting both the king's constitutional role and his humanity. Charles chose to record the message in the White Drawing Room at Buckingham Palace, a space that had hosted numerous significant royal broadcasts throughout history. The formal yet intimate setting would provide appropriate dignity while allowing viewers to see him in surroundings that emphasize continuity and stability. The room's elegant decor and historical significance would reinforce themes of endurance and resilience. Preparation for the broadcast involved multiple consultations with his medical team to ensure that his appearance would not alarm the public while remaining truthful about his condition. The timing of the recording was carefully coordinated with his treatment schedule to capture him at his strongest and most articulate. Palace staff worked to ensure that lighting and camera angles would present him favorably without appearing deceptive about his health status. The king's wardrobe selection became a matter of symbolic importance. His team chose a navy suit with a burgundy tie, colors that conveyed both authority and warmth while avoiding anything that might be interpreted as morbid or overly somber. Every detail of his appearance was considered for its potential impact on public perception and the overall message of resilience and hope. As the recording date approached, Charles found himself experiencing a complex mix of emotions. Relief at finally being able to share his burden with the nation mingled with anxiety about public reaction and concern about the impact on his family. The prospect of discussing his mortality on national television challenged even his decades of experience with public speaking. His speechwriters had provided a draft, but Charles insisted on personalizing significant portions of the address. He wanted his own voice to come through, sharing insights from his decades of public service and his genuine gratitude for the medical care he was receiving. The speech needed to balance his role as a constitutional monarch with his identity as a husband, father, and human being facing a serious illness. The night before the recording, Charles spent time in his gardens at Highgrove, finding solace among the plants and landscapes he had nurtured for decades. The cyclical nature of seasons and the resilience of nature provided metaphors that would inform his message to the nation. He understood that his cancer journey would involve periods of difficulty and recovery, much like the natural world he cherished. His final preparations included meetings with religious leaders who provided spiritual counsel during this challenging period. As defender of the faith and supreme governor of the Church of England, Charles found strength in prayer and reflection on the broader purposes that illness might serve in his life and reign. These conversations helped him frame his cancer battle not just as a personal struggle, but as part of his continued service to his people. The morning of the recording dawned clear and bright, a detail that palace staff took as a positive omen. Charles woke early, spending time in meditation and final review of his remarks. He understood that this broadcast would be remembered as a defining moment of his reign, and he was determined to meet the occasion with grace and authenticity. As he prepared to face the cameras and share his most personal challenge with millions of viewers, King Charles III carried with him the weight of tradition, the love of his family, and an unshakable determination to serve his people with honesty and courage, even in the face of his greatest personal battle. The television studio at Buckingham Palace had been transformed into a carefully orchestrated stage for one of the most significant royal broadcasts in modern history. Technicians moved quietly around the white drawing room, adjusting lighting equipment and testing camera angles while maintaining the reverent atmosphere that the occasion demanded. The King's communications team had spent weeks planning every detail of this moment, understanding that Charles's words would reach not only the British public, but audiences around the world. Charles arrived at the recording location 30 minutes before the scheduled time, his composed demeanor masking the emotional turbulence he felt inside. He had spent the previous evening in final consultations with his medical team, ensuring that he could speak accurately about his condition while maintaining appropriate boundaries around private health information. Dr. Mitchell had briefed him on the latest developments in his treatment plan, providing updates that would inform his public message. The makeup artist worked with subtle skill to ensure that the king appeared healthy and vigorous without creating false impressions about his medical condition. Every aspect of his appearance was calibrated to convey strength and determination while remaining truthful about the reality of his cancer diagnosis. The palace had learned from previous royal health crises that public confidence required both transparency and reassurance. Queen Camilla arrived shortly after her husband, taking her customary place in the background where she could offer support through her presence without appearing on camera. Her role during this period had evolved into that of primary caregiver and emotional anchor, responsibilities she embraced with the same dedication she had shown to her royal duties. The strain of recent weeks was visible in her eyes, though she maintained the composure expected of her position. The director, a veteran of numerous royal broadcasts, approached Charles with a combination of professional expertise and personal respect. They discussed the pacing of the speech, the importance of maintaining eye contact with the camera, and the subtle ways that body language could reinforce the message of resilience and hope. Charles had decades of experience with televised addresses, but this broadcast carried emotional weight that required special consideration. As the final technical preparations were completed, Charles spent a few minutes alone in quiet reflection. He thought about his mother's approach to public communication during times of national or personal crisis, remembering how she had balanced revelation with dignity throughout her long reign. The lessons of her example guided his approach to this unprecedented situation, helping him find the appropriate tone for his own message. The speech itself had undergone numerous revisions, with input from constitutional experts, medical advisors, and communication specialists. Each word had been carefully chosen to convey accurate information while maintaining the hope and determination that the public needed to hear from their monarch. The balance between personal vulnerability and institutional strength required precision that challenged even experienced royal speechwriters. When recording began, Charles drew upon his decades of public speaking experience to deliver his message with the authority and warmth that had characterized his public persona throughout his long career. His voice carried the weight of his office while revealing the humanity that made his struggle relatable to ordinary citizens facing similar health challenges. The camera captured both his royal bearing and his personal courage as he spoke directly to his people. The king's opening words acknowledged the gravity of his situation while immediately establishing themes of gratitude and determination that would run throughout his address. He spoke of the excellent medical care he was receiving, the support of his family, and his continued commitment to his constitutional duties. His tone conveyed seriousness without despair, honesty without self-pity. Charles addressed the inevitable speculation about succession and constitutional continuity, reassuring the public that appropriate arrangements were in place to ensure the smooth functioning of the monarchy during his treatment. He spoke warmly of Prince William's readiness to assume additional responsibilities and expressed confidence in the entire royal family's ability to maintain their service to the nation during this challenging period. The personal dimension of his message emerged as Charles spoke about the impact of cancer on families, acknowledging the fears and uncertainties that accompany such diagnoses. His words were carefully chosen to resonate with the millions of people who had faced similar battles, either personally or through loved ones. He transformed his royal platform into a source of comfort and solidarity for cancer patients and their families. Medical experts had helped Charles craft language that would accurately describe his condition without providing unnecessary details or creating unrealistic expectations about outcomes. He spoke of cancer as a formidable but not invincible opponent, emphasizing both the seriousness of his diagnosis and his determination to fight with every available resource. His medical team's expertise and the advances in cancer treatment provided foundations for cautious optimism. The king's spiritual beliefs informed portions of his address as he spoke about finding strength in faith and the support of religious communities. As Supreme Governor of the Church of England, his words carried particular weight for believers while remaining inclusive of all faith traditions and those who found strength in secular sources of hope. His message emphasized the importance of spiritual support during times of physical challenge. Charles addressed the inevitable changes that his treatment would bring to his public schedule, explaining that some engagements would need to be postponed or canceled while others might be modified to accommodate his medical needs. He expressed regret for any disappointment this might cause while emphasizing that his commitment to his people remained unchanged, even if its expression might need to adapt to new circumstances. The broadcast included acknowledgement of the broader cancer community, with Charles using his platform to highlight the experiences of ordinary citizens who face similar battles without the resources and support systems available to him. He spoke of medical professionals, researchers, and caregivers whose work makes recovery possible for countless patients, using his diagnosis as an opportunity to honor their contributions. International relationships received attention as Charles spoke about the support he had received from world leaders and the global nature of cancer research and treatment. His illness had prompted messages of support from heads of state around the world, demonstrating the personal dimensions of diplomatic relationships and the universal nature of health challenges that transcend political boundaries. The King's message included specific appreciation for the medical teams at the London Clinic and other facilities involved in his care. He spoke knowledgeably about the complexity of modern cancer treatment, having educated himself thoroughly about his condition and its management. His words conveyed respect for medical expertise while acknowledging the uncertainty that remains part of any cancer journey. Family dynamics received careful treatment as Charles spoke about the support he had received from immediate and extended family members. He addressed the speculation about his relationship with Prince Harry, expressing hope that family bonds would prove stronger than recent disagreements during this period of challenge. His words were diplomatic yet heartfelt, revealing his desire for healing in personal relationships. The recording process required multiple takes of certain passages as Charles worked to achieve the precise tone and emphasis that would convey his intended message. His perfectionism, evident throughout his public career, extended to this deeply personal broadcast as he sought to balance vulnerability with strength, hope with realism, personal revelation with institutional dignity. Technical aspects of the production were handled with the same attention to detail that characterized major state occasions, understanding that this broadcast would be analyzed and remembered for years to come. The visual elements supported the verbal message, with lighting and camera work designed to convey warmth and accessibility while maintaining the dignity appropriate to a royal address. As the recording session concluded, Charles felt a mixture of relief and apprehension about public reaction to his unprecedented openness about his health challenges. The decision to speak publicly about his cancer represented a calculated risk that could strengthen his connection with the public or potentially create new vulnerabilities for the institution of monarchy. The post-production process involved careful editing to ensure that the final broadcast would flow smoothly while preserving the authentic emotion of Charles's delivery. Technical specialists worked to optimize audio and visual quality while maintaining the intimate atmosphere that made the address so personally powerful. Every element was designed to support the King's message of courage, determination, and continued service. Palace communications staff prepared for the intense media coverage that would follow the broadcast, developing strategies to manage follow-up questions while protecting appropriate privacy around ongoing medical treatment. The balance between transparency and privacy would continue to challenge royal communications throughout Charles's cancer journey, requiring constant recalibration as circumstances evolved. The aftermath of King Charles's televised address created ripples that extended far beyond the boundaries of the United Kingdom, generating responses from world leaders, medical professionals, and ordinary citizens whose lives have been touched by cancer. Within hours of the broadcast, Buckingham Palace received thousands of messages of support, while social media platforms filled with expressions of solidarity and shared stories of cancer survival that created an unexpected global conversation about illness, resilience, and hope. The immediate public reaction exceeded all expectations from Palace communications staff, who had prepared for various scenarios but had not anticipated the overwhelming outpouring of personal connection that followed the king's candid revelation. Television audiences had witnessed something unprecedented in modern royal history. A reigning monarch speaking openly about vulnerability and mortality while maintaining the dignity and strength expected of the position. Medical professionals across the country praised Charles's decision to speak publicly about his diagnosis, noting that his openness could encourage others to seek early detection and treatment for their own health concerns. Cancer charities reported immediate increases in inquiries about screening programs and treatment options, suggesting that the king's courage in sharing his story was already having positive impacts on public health awareness. Dr. Mitchell, who had guided Charles through his initial diagnosis and treatment planning, found herself fielding requests from medical colleagues seeking to understand how royal medical care differed from standard protocols. Her responses emphasized that while the king certainly received excellent care, the fundamental approaches to cancer treatment remained the same regardless of social status, with success depending primarily on early detection, appropriate treatment, and patient determination. The constitutional implications of Charles's health situation required careful management by government officials and palace staff working in coordination to ensure continuity of royal duties. Prime Minister meetings continued as scheduled, with adjustments made to accommodate the king's treatment schedule, while state functions were redistributed among other senior royals who stepped forward to maintain the monarchy's public presence during this challenging period. Prince William's role evolved significantly in the weeks following his father's announcement, as he assumed responsibility for additional engagements while maintaining his existing commitments to his own charitable work and family responsibilities. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, provided crucial support during this transition, managing increased public attention while protecting their children from excessive media scrutiny related to their grandfather's illness. The relationship between Charles and Prince Harry became a subject of intense media speculation following the cancer announcement, with royal correspondents analyzing every piece of available information for signs of reconciliation or continued estrangement. Palace sources remained diplomatically silent about private family communications, though reports suggested that the king's illness had prompted renewed contact between father and son. Charles's treatment regimen required significant adjustments to his traditionally packed schedule, with medical appointments taking precedence over ceremonial duties for the first time in his adult life. The challenge of maintaining royal visibility while accommodating chemotherapy sessions and recovery periods tested the adaptability of institutions designed around the assumption of good health and consistent availability. Queen Camilla's role as primary caregiver brought new dimensions to her public profile as she balanced her own royal duties with the demands of supporting her husband through cancer treatment. Her steady presence at his side during public appearances that continued throughout his treatment provided reassurance to the public while demonstrating the personal cost that royal service could extract from entire families. The king's decision to continue with selected public engagements during his treatment sparked debate among medical professionals and royal watchers about the wisdom of maintaining such commitments while undergoing cancer therapy. Charles himself insisted that were provided essential psychological support during his recovery process, though his medical team required careful monitoring of his energy levels and immune system function. International reactions to Charles's cancer announcement revealed the global reach of the British monarchy's symbolic importance, with messages of support arriving from Commonwealth realms, European royal families, and heads of state from around the world. These responses demonstrated how personal health challenges could transcend political differences and create moments of genuine human connection between world leaders. The media coverage of Charles's treatment raised important questions about privacy expectations for public figures facing serious illness, with different news organizations taking varying approaches to respecting boundaries around medical information while maintaining legitimate public interest in the monarch's health status. Palace communications staff worked continuously to balance transparency with appropriate privacy protection. Cancer support organizations experienced unprecedented attention following the King's announcement, with many reporting significant increases in donations, volunteer applications, and requests for services. The royal platform had amplified awareness of cancer-related issues in ways that dedicated advocacy campaigns had struggled to achieve, demonstrating the unique power of personal testimony from respected public figures. Charles's spiritual journey during his cancer treatment became a source of comfort, not only for himself, but for others facing similar challenges who found meaning in his references to faith and resilience. His role as defender of the faith took on new dimensions as he spoke about finding strength in prayer and meditation while acknowledging that spiritual support came in many forms for different people. The practical aspects of royal security during medical treatment required extensive coordination between protection officers and hospital staff, with protocols developed to ensure the King's safety while maintaining the confidentiality of other patients and the normal functioning of medical facilities. These arrangements demonstrated the complexity of providing royal protection during extended medical care. Charles's relationship with his medical team evolved beyond the traditional doctor-patient dynamic as he became an advocate for cancer research and treatment improvement. His status provided unique opportunities to highlight advances in medical science while drawing attention to areas where additional research, funding, and support were needed to help future patients. The King's energy levels fluctuated significantly during different phases of his treatment, requiring careful scheduling that balanced his determination to maintain public duties with the physical realities of chemotherapy and recovery. His staff developed new protocols for managing royal engagements that could be adjusted quickly based on his daily health status and treatment schedule. Public appearances during his treatment were carefully choreographed to project strength and continuity while accommodating his medical needs, with palace staff developing contingency plans for various scenarios that might arise during events. The challenge of maintaining royal dignity while dealing with the unpredictable effects of cancer treatment required constant adaptation and flexibility. Charles's communication style evolved during his illness as he found new ways to connect with people facing similar challenges, drawing upon his own experience to offer genuine empathy and understanding. His conversations with cancer patients during hospital visits and charity events carried additional weight because of his personal familiarity with the fear, uncertainty, and hope that characterized the cancer journey. The King's treatment provided unexpected opportunities for family bonding as his children and grandchildren adjusted their schedules to spend more time with him during recovery periods. These private moments, shielded from public view, allowed for conversations about legacy, values, and the importance of family relationships that might not have occurred under normal circumstances. Medical privacy concerns required constant attention as Charles balanced his desire to be helpful to other cancer patients with the need to maintain appropriate boundaries around personal health information. His medical team worked with communication staff to ensure that his public statements about treatment remained accurate and helpful without revealing details that should remain private. The psychological impact of public scrutiny during illness presented unique challenges for Charles, who had to manage his own emotional responses to cancer while maintaining the composed public persona expected of a monarch. The support of professional counselors and spiritual advisors became essential elements of his comprehensive treatment approach. Research facilities and cancer centers that Charles visited during his treatment reported increased public interest in their work, with some experiencing significant increases in funding and volunteer support following royal visits. His platform provided opportunities to highlight innovative treatments and research approaches that might benefit future patients worldwide. The king's experience with cancer treatment provided new insights into healthcare delivery that informed his ongoing charitable work and advocacy for medical research. His personal understanding of patient experiences added authenticity to his support for healthcare improvement initiatives and medical innovation programs. Months after his initial televised announcement, King Charles found himself in a position he had not anticipated when first receiving his cancer diagnosis. The treatment had progressed better than his medical team had initially dared to hope, with regular scans showing positive responses to the therapeutic regimen and blood markers indicating that his body was fighting back against the disease with remarkable determination. Dr. Mitchell delivered the encouraging news during a routine follow-up appointment at the London clinic, where Charles had become a familiar and surprisingly popular patient among the medical staff. His genuine interest in their work, combined with his natural ability to put people at ease despite his royal status, had created relationships that extended beyond the typical doctor-patient dynamic. Nurses spoke of his kindness and curiosity, while technicians appreciated his patient cooperation during lengthy scanning procedures. The king's improved health status allowed for a gradual return to more normal royal duties, though his schedule remained carefully managed to prevent overexertion and accommodate ongoing medical monitoring. His first major public appearance following the completion of intensive treatment was at a cancer research fundraising gala, where his presence carried symbolic weight that organizers could never have planned, but which proved more powerful than any celebrity endorsement. Standing before an audience that included medical professionals, researchers, cancer survivors, and their families, Charles spoke with an authenticity that came from shared experience rather than royal obligation. His remarks about the courage of cancer patients, the dedication of medical teams, and the importance of continued research funding carried the weight of personal knowledge that transformed a routine charitable speech into something approaching testimony. The response from the audience was immediate and profound, with many attendees later describing the evening as a turning point in their own cancer journeys or research commitments. The king's willingness to share his vulnerability while celebrating the strength he had discovered within himself provided a template for others facing similar challenges, demonstrating that illness could become a source of connection rather than isolation. Family relationships had undergone significant changes during Charles's treatment period, with the shared experience of confronting his mortality creating opportunities for healing and deeper understanding. Prince Harry had made several private visits to the UK during his father's treatment, leading to conversations that both men later described as among the most meaningful of their relationship. While public reconciliation remained a work in progress, private bonds had been strengthened by the recognition of life's fragility. Queen Camilla had emerged from the experience with enhanced public respect for her dedication and strength during the most challenging period of their marriage. Her steady presence throughout Charles's treatment, combined with her continued fulfillment of royal duties, had demonstrated qualities of character that earned admiration from even previously skeptical observers. The couple's partnership had been tested and proven resilient under extraordinary circumstances. Prince William and Catherine had managed their increased responsibilities with grace and efficiency, proving their readiness for the greater roles that would eventually come to them while maintaining appropriate respect for Charles's position as monarch. Their handling of additional duties during his treatment had provided valuable experience and public confidence in the future of the monarchy. The grandchildren, initially shielded from the full implications of their grandfather's illness, had gradually been included in conversations about health, resilience, and family support as Charles's condition improved. His relationship with them had deepened through shared activities that focused on gardening, nature, and the kinds of quiet pursuits that his treatment schedule had encouraged. Cancer research organizations reported lasting benefits from the attention that Charles's diagnosis had brought to their work with funding increases and volunteer recruitment remaining elevated months after his initial announcement. His continued advocacy for cancer research, informed by personal experience, had created sustainable support for scientific advancement that would outlast any single royal initiative. The king's approach to his ongoing health management became a model for other public figures facing serious illness, demonstrating how transparency about health challenges could be balanced with appropriate privacy and dignity. His medical team worked with palace communications staff to develop protocols that could be adapted by other institutions facing similar situations. International relationships had been unexpectedly strengthened by the global response to Charles's cancer journey, with world leaders who had reached out during his treatment, maintaining enhanced personal connections that benefited diplomatic relations. The shared human experience of health challenges had created bonds that transcended political differences and cultural boundaries. Charles's perspective on his role as monarch had evolved through his cancer experience, with new appreciation for the ways that personal vulnerability could enhance rather than diminish public service. His understanding of suffering and resilience, gained through direct experience, informed his interactions with citizens facing their own challenges in ways that protocol and training could never have achieved. The practical lessons learned during his treatment had led to improvements in royal health protocols and security arrangements that would benefit future generations of the royal family. Medical privacy protections, treatment facility security, and schedule management systems have been refined through real-world testing during his cancer journey. Religious and spiritual dimensions of Charles's recovery had provided comfort not only to himself, but to many others who found meaning in his references to faith, prayer, and spiritual support during difficult times. His role as head of the Church of England had gained new authenticity through his personal experience of relying on spiritual resources during physical and emotional challenges. The king's energy levels had largely returned to pre-diagnosis norms, though his medical team continued to monitor his condition carefully and maintain modified protocols for managing stress and fatigue. His schedule remained more carefully calibrated than in previous years, reflecting both medical prudence and hard-won wisdom about the importance of sustainable work practices. Public speaking engagements had taken on new dimensions as Charles incorporated insights from his cancer journey into remarks about resilience, community support, and the importance of medical research. His personal experience had provided a wellspring of authentic material that connected with audiences in ways that traditional royal rhetoric could not match. The king's relationship with healthcare workers had been permanently changed by his experience as a patient, leading to enhanced support from medical professionals and increased understanding of the challenges they faced in their daily work. His advocacy for healthcare improvement was informed by direct observation of excellence and areas needing development within the medical system. Cancer survivors who met Charles during his public appearances reported feeling uniquely understood and supported by someone who shared their experience while occupying a position of such prominence. His ability to connect with fellow cancer patients had created a new category of royal interaction that was deeply meaningful for participants. Research initiatives that Charles had supported before his diagnosis received renewed attention and enhanced funding as his personal investment in cancer research became widely known. His participation in research protocols, where medically appropriate, had contributed to scientific understanding while benefiting from the latest advances in treatment. The king's written correspondence had evolved to include personal notes to cancer patients and their families, with his private secretary managing an extensive program of individual communications that drew upon his own experience to offer encouragement and support. These personal touches, while time-consuming, had become among his most valued activities. Media coverage of Charles's recovery had generally been respectful while maintaining legitimate public interest in his health status. The balance between transparency and privacy that had been established during his treatment provided a workable model for future situations involving senior royal health issues. Long-term health management had become a priority that influenced all aspects of Charles's schedule and lifestyle, with his medical team, family, and staff working together to ensure that his recovery remained sustainable. The lessons learned about stress management, work-life balance, and the importance of regular medical monitoring have been integrated into daily routines. As he looked toward the future, Charles carried with him not only relief at his positive response to treatment, but also a deeper understanding of the fragility and preciousness of life that informed every aspect of his continuing service as monarch. His cancer journey had tested his resilience, strengthened his relationships, and provided him with insights that would guide his reign for years to come, transforming a personal health crisis into a source of wisdom, empathy, and enhanced connection with the people he served.